It's great to see everybody. This is Unit 4, Lesson 6. So as usual, you're looking for tasks for U4L6 under assignments or in the weekly calendar. Today's date is the 19th. We'll start off with our usual pair and share. The question for today is, if you had to delete all but 3 apps from your smartphone, which ones would you keep? And let's assume that it's still a phone. So calling and FaceTime are still there, messaging would still be there, and the camera, for photos and videos would still be there. But what are the other apps you would keep? If you had to get rid of everything except three additional ones to those basic functions, which ones would you keep? So think about which ones you like to use, which ones you feel like you end up using the most. And don't forget to say hi and check in with the person you're in a room with as well. Kind of interesting to see what came up the most there. Next on the docket was homework review. First thing I wanted to check really quick was we are going to be doing a lab activity today, which ideally you would have balloons for. You don't have to have them, but I'm going to launch a poll really quick here. So please be honest. This is anonymous, and tell me whether you were able to get balloons or not, or a balloon or not. And if you have a ruler or not at home. Again, don't worry. We can supplement all. You can still do the lab. Can supplement all data if needed. Okay, seeing 11 out of 12 responses. Just need one more person to vote. There we go. All right, let's see. Okay, we are evenly divided. 6 people with balloons, 6 people without balloons. That's okay. And who has a ruler? 10 of you have a ruler, 2 of you do not. Okay, again, that's good to know. Won't be a problem. As I said, I will have like sample data for anyone who isn't able to take measurements. There's still lots of data analysis and reflection that you'll be able to do. So, okay, otherwise, there were the 2 classworks relating to lung health. The first one was the John Hopkins reading about vaping, which I don't know, I hope you found interesting after our little debate. I am seeing for this class 13 attempts, which is awesome. I thought these ads it was pretty striking, the difference between the two. But the main thing to understand is that this fitness company is just trying to make money by selling vape pens. Tobacco Free California is trying to raise awareness about health. So they're obviously the ones taking your health into account more. E-cigarettes definitely don't contain good things. There's this widespread rumor that it's harmless and that it's not bad for you at all, especially compared to regular cigarettes. And while, yes, okay, compared to regular cigarettes, they're probably not as harmful as that. There's some crazy stuff in these things that you don't want to mess with. I didn't know this. Popcorn, I always thought popcorn lung was because your lungs rattled and it sounded like popcorn popping, but it's actually a food flavoring derivative chemical that's inside of this. That's a known carcinogen causing cancer. And it actually came to health awareness in people working in popcorn factories who were breathing it in all the time. So anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting. And then also that teens are much more prone to lung problems like lung collapse because as your lungs are growing, you get these like weak points, which I found kind of fascinating. And that relates then to the pneumothorax, which was just kind of going through what's happening. And I find, again, this fascinating that your lungs are sort of in this sealed container in your chest. And if you poke a hole in it, whether you're shot or stabbed or something else, the air fills in that outer space, the pleural space, and that pushes down on the lungs so it can't expand and you can't actually absorb oxygen into your blood. So you get that suffocating, wheezing feeling. And the only way to reinflate it is to poke another hole to try to get that air out and allow the lung to expand again, which is kind of interesting. That seems counterintuitive for a treatment to poke another hole. How many people were brave enough to watch the Three Kings scene where Mark Wahlberg got shot in the chest? A few people. It's kind of cool that they show you the actual anatomy of like what's going on inside of him. But again, not something you had to watch. Just thought it was interesting. Did you guys enjoy the comedy or college humor Juul CEO message? I find that very funny as well. If you haven't checked that out, you should. And they have a bunch of funny CEO videos. The one about Tide and Tide Pods is very funny as well if you haven't seen it. So, all right, any questions or comments on those 2 homework assignments about John Hopkins vaping or lung collapse pneumothorax? All right. Our goal today then is to tackle the laboratory first. So we are on tasks to complete step number 3, measuring lung capacity. If you click on that, I'm going to share my screen here for 2 seconds. It'll take you to a long quiz, which will just walk you through the entire lab. So just, make sure you read the instructions very carefully. There's a couple of vocab words. You're going to need to know the difference between tidal volume and vital capacity. To put it simply, tidal volume, think of a tide going in and out. That's your regular breathing. So anytime you hear tidal volume, I want you to think normal breathing. Vital capacity, right? Vital for life. Vital is your deepest breath that you could take, the most air you could take in and take out in a single breath. So keep that distinction. Otherwise, there's a couple pre-lab questions, about 5 of them. They're all multiple choice. By question 6, you'll be doing the actual lab, taking measurements based on your height and weight to start. Anyway, all the instructions are there. You will be filling in a Google Sheet at one point. And this is where, again, those of you who do not have balloons or do not have rulers, here's the sample data. So sample data for males is right here. Sample data for females is right here. Just use those numbers in place of this, the balloon diameter. But then you can do everything else. You can figure out the lung volume the same way as anybody else. So just follow the instructions. Let me know if you need help or have questions. For those of you who are using balloons, you're going to be doing a lot of breathing in and trying to blow out into a balloon. If you feel lightheaded, take a break. Okay, I don't want anyone passing out because you're hyperventilating trying to do this breathing exercise. All right, I'm going to throw 20 minutes on the clock to work on this. I'll be here listening. If you have questions or if you're not sure what to do, I'm happy to take you to a breakout room and walk you through this. It can be a little complicated. I've tried to make the instructions as clear as possible, but we'll come back together in 20 minutes. If you finish before 20 minutes is done, you're welcome to move on to the next task, which is a online sort of review game. So feel free to move on to that if you finish before 20 minutes is up.